You can't connect the dots looking forward. That's the cruel trick of life. We all want a plan. We want certainty. We want the full picture before we take the first step. But life doesn't give us blueprints. It gives us moments. Moments of confusion, of pain, of silence, and moments of breakthrough. It gives us unanswered questions, closed doors, heartbreak, and detours we never saw coming. And then, when we look back, when we've survived what we thought would kill us, we see it. The dots did connect, not because we saw the plan, but because we had enough courage to keep walking when we didn't. Because somehow, even in the dark, even through the tears, we trusted the process. And that trust, that belief in something beyond what we could see, became the map. You have to trust that the dots will somehow align in your future, not because you know how, but because deep down, something inside you refuses to give up. You have to trust your gut, trust your instincts, trust that still small voice that whispers, there's more. Maybe for you, that trust is in God. Maybe it's destiny. Maybe it's just raw, defiant faith in the unseen. Whatever it is, hold it close, because that belief gives you the power to keep walking, even when the path disappears, even when it feels like you're walking through fog with no end in sight. Belief is what lets you follow your heart, even when your head is screaming, "This doesn't make sense." And sometimes, that choice to keep going when nothing makes sense is what changes your whole life. But let's get honest, life isn't fair. Life doesn't always reward the good. Life doesn't always make sense. Sometimes the hardest workers still lose. Sometimes the kindest souls still get hurt. And sometimes, despite everything you gave, it still falls apart. But that doesn't mean it's over. That doesn't mean the story ends there. It just means the chapter is shifting. And even if you don't see it yet, what's ahead is still worth fighting for. Time is the one thing you can never get back. So why are we wasting it trying to live someone else's life? Why are we shrinking ourselves to fit into boxes that were never built for us? Why are we spending so much energy trying to please people who will forget our name a year from now? Every moment you waste pretending is a moment you could be building something real, something eternal, something yours. Don't live trapped by dogma. Don't inherit beliefs just because they were passed down. Question them, unlearn what no longer serves you. Rewrite the stories that told you you weren't enough. Just because something has been passed down to you doesn't mean it belongs to you. Find your own voice, hear your own rhythm, tune out the noise long enough to recognize the voice of your own soul. Because that voice, that whisper inside of you, it knows. It knows what you were made for. It knows what you've survived. And it knows where you're headed. But it will never shout. It will never compete with the noise. So you've got to get quiet. You've got to stop scrolling long enough to listen. You've got to find what you love, not just for romance, but for your work, for your life. Because your work, the thing you show up to every day, will become the story of your life. And if you're showing up for something you don't love, something that drains you, something that doesn't make you feel alive, then your life starts to feel empty. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. That's not a motivational quote. That's the truth. Because the people who change the world, the ones who light up rooms, who shake the ground, they're the ones who believe in what they're building. If you haven't found it yet, keep searching. Don't get comfortable. Don't say, "This is good enough." You weren't built for good enough. You were built for greatness. And greatness always costs more, but it also gives more back. Now listen, this journey, it's going to break you. At some point it will. You'll face things you never expected. You'll be betrayed by people you trusted. You'll lose things you thought you couldn't live without. A job you gave your whole heart to. A person you planned forever with. A version of yourself you once loved. And suddenly, you're standing in front of the mirror, wondering, who's even looking back? And in that moment, you'll feel like giving up. You'll think maybe everyone else was right. Maybe you should have just played it safe. Maybe you weren't built for this. But that moment, that exact moment, is where everything begins to change. And let me tell you something personal. I've been there. I've stood in front of that same mirror. I've questioned everything. I've whispered, "God, where are you?" into a silence that felt infinite. And still, I'm here. And if I can walk through the fire and still find purpose, you can too. Because most people give up on themselves too early. They don't even see how close they were. They throw in the towel one fight too soon. But the human spirit, it's unbreakable. It's a storm inside your chest that refuses to die. And if you can just hang on through the darkest night, there's a sunrise coming that will heal everything. Anyone can be positive when the sun is shining, when the bills are paid, when love is steady. That's easy. But who are you when life hits back? Who are you when you've lost your job, when your heart is broken, when your prayers go unanswered? That's when the real growth happens. That's when your character gets tested. And that's when you rise. Even in the valley of the shadow of death, you are not alone. True strength is built when everything is falling apart and you still choose to believe. Real faith is holding on when you have no reason left. It's standing on nothing but a promise. It's fighting battles no one else sees and still showing up with fire in your chest. Because growth, real growth, only happens when you're uncomfortable, when you're lost, when you've been pushed past your limits. That's when you find out what's inside you. That's when your spirit starts to fight back. That's when your soul starts to speak. It takes courage to act when you're scared. It takes boldness to dream again after failure. And it takes fire to stand up when everything in you wants to stay down. But that's what makes you unstoppable. That's what makes you dangerous. Because once you've been broken and rebuilt, once you've walked through fire and come out breathing, you become a weapon the world can't silence. Fear will always try to stop you. Fear will always whisper lies. You're not good enough. You're too late. You'll never make it. But fear is not your friend. Fear is not your protector. Fear is the voice of limitation. Fear kills dreams before they even take their first breath. But if you push through fear, if you take one step anyway, you'll find that the thing you feared most was never real to begin with. It was just a shadow. And the moment you shine light on it, it disappears. Your feelings are real, but they're not final. You don't feel like getting up today. Welcome to the club. You don't feel like working out, creating, studying, showing up. That's human. But champions don't live by feelings. They live by principles. And principles don't change just because you're tired. Every day you give in to your feelings, you push your future further away. That one day you said not today to your dream, it might have delayed your breakthrough by 6 months, a year. You don't know what you missed. So stop gambling with your purpose. Discipline your emotions. Contain your chaos. You are not your moods. You are not your anxiety. You are not your trauma. You are the fire behind all of it. You are the one who endured the storm, and you still have breath in your lungs for a reason. Want change? Then fight for it with everything you've got. Because change isn't cheap. Change will cost you comfort. Change will cost you friendships. Change will cost you your old identity. But change will also set you free. You can't erase the storm, but you can pick up the pen and rewrite the next chapter with fire. You have to say to yourself, I'm done waiting for someone to save me. I am the rescue. I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to let this break me. I'm not going to let this story end here. I've come too far. I've cried too many tears. I've survived too much. This is my moment now. You've got to plant your flag in the ground. Say, this is what I believe in. Stand for your healing. Stand for your peace. Stand for your dreams. No one is coming to hand it to you. This is your life. Own it. Take full responsibility, not for what happened, but for what you do next. The future is not written. You're still holding the pen, and the greatest plot twist in your story could still be ahead. But you've got to keep writing. Don't end the book in chapter 5 when you were destined for a masterpiece. Live like your life depends on it, because it does. Love like your heart was never broken. Fight like the victory is already yours, because it is. Decide today, right now, that you're going to push, you're going to grow, you're going to evolve. The last chapter has not been written, and even if yesterday broke you, tomorrow can build you. What matters is not what happened before. What matters is what you do now. So, declare it. Say it with your chest. Say it until your spirit believes. I can. I can. No matter what I've lost. No matter how long I've waited. No matter how deep the pain, I can still become. I can rise. I can rebuild. I can finish strong. Perseverance is not about being perfect. It's about not giving up. It's about staying in the fight when everything says to quit. It's about trusting the process when you can't see the promise. And right now, in this moment, you've got a choice. Go back to comfort or move forward into purpose. Don't give up. Don't give in. There is more for you. There is purpose in your pain. There is destiny in your delay. There is fire in your future. And your breakthrough? It's not behind you. It's not beside you. It's inside you. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't reach for your phone. Reach for your soul. Breathe. Pray. Listen. Because your life isn't waiting to be handed to you. It's waiting to be claimed. And today, if you choose to believe it, can still be your beginning. And beginnings don't always feel like fireworks. Sometimes they feel like breaking down in your car alone after holding everything together for too long. Sometimes the beginning is as small as getting out of bed after 3 days of depression. Sometimes a beginning is the quiet decision to choose hope again, even when nothing around you has changed. I remember the moment my own beginning didn't feel like a victory. It felt like defeat. I had nothing figured out, no map, just a deep ache and a stubborn whisper inside saying, "Try again." That whisper became my anthem. And that's all you need. Not a plan, not a guarantee, just a whisper. Just a flicker of what if. Because faith doesn't always come in fire. It often comes in fragments. You're not broken because you're struggling. You're not a failure because you're tired. You're not behind because your journey looks different. This culture will tell you that success has a look, a timeline, a formula. But healing? Healing has no schedule. Growth has no calendar. And purpose doesn't operate on anyone's clock but eternity's. So give yourself grace. Give yourself space to be human. And while you're at it, give yourself permission to try again without the weight of perfection. You don't have to come back with a loud announcement. Just come back. Quietly if you must. Humbly, slowly, gently. But don't stay buried when the seed inside you is still alive. You see, what they never tell you is that even a seed has to go underground before it grows. It has to be covered in darkness, surrounded by silence, stripped of light. But the miracle isn't in the light, it's in the breaking. It's in the cracking. Because what breaks you, don't fear the breaking. Fear staying buried. Don't fear the fall. Fear never rising. This is the part of the journey nobody claps for. The quiet part. The part where you show up even though no one notices. The part where you rebuild when no one's cheering. The part where you grow in silence. And yet, this is the most sacred part, because this is where roots go deep. This is where faith gets forged. This is where the real you is born. If you're in that place right now where it feels like nothing is changing, nothing is working, nothing is moving, I see you. And I need you to know this isn't the end. It's the middle. And the middle always feels like the end when you're in it. But you're not done, not even close. You've cried, you've prayed, you've asked, why me? You've begged for the pain to stop. And still, you woke up today. Still, your lungs are filled with breath. Still, something in you hasn't given up yet. That something? That's called purpose. That's called calling. That's called destiny, refusing to let go of you. You think you're weak because you cried last night? No, you're strong because you still showed up today. You think you're failing because it hurts? No, you're healing. And healing isn't always pretty. Sometimes healing feels like chaos, like losing yourself, like shedding old skin and walking into new rooms with trembling legs. But what feels like falling apart is often the start of falling together. I want to speak this into your soul. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on time for your own story. And the same God who's been with you in every unanswered prayer, every silent night, every lonely chapter, hasn't left. He's just been building something in you that couldn't be rushed. Because let me tell you the truth, the wait was never about punishment. It was about preparation. God doesn't take you the long way because he forgot about you. He takes you the long way because he's building strength in you for the weight of what's coming. He's building roots so you can hold the fruit. And you can't microwave deep faith. You can't rush the molding of a miracle. So, if you feel hidden, if you feel stuck, if you feel forgotten, maybe you're not being punished. Maybe you're being protected. Maybe you're being planted. And your time is coming. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Delay is not denial. Silence is not absence. And waiting is not wasting when you're being formed in the fire. You weren't called to live a small life. You weren't born to just get by. There is greatness in you. There is fire in your bones. There is purpose in your pain. And if you refuse to quit, if you just keep going, you will rise. To rise. Rise, even if it's slow. Rise, even if it's messy. Rise with shaking hands. Rise with tears in your eyes. Rise with nothing but faith holding you together. Because your future, it's still unfolding. Your story, it's not done. Your strength, it's just getting started. And if you remember nothing else, remember this. You don't have to have it all figured out to keep moving forward. You just have to keep moving. Crawl if you must, limp if you must, but don't stop. Your destiny is not behind you. It's not beside you. It's been within you all along. If this message stirred something inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Somebody out there is walking through the same storm you just survived. So before you scroll, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, because this is just the beginning. Drop a comment right now. I'm not done. Let the world know you're still in the fight. Let your voice be the proof that hope still rises.